Paradise, welcome back to the channel. It's very important that we have a discussion today because we've had a lot of volatility in the market since you last came on the channel. We had the biggest liquidation wick in crypto history happen on Sunday night. Then we've seen a bounce. Now we're seeing some altcoins start to retrace their gains again. So I think it'd be great to get a level-headed technical perspective from you today on the markets. And I'm also going to chime in with my thoughts on where I think we're headed and what I'm currently doing in the market as well. So welcome back to the channel, bro.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me back.
I see you got the Bitcoin chart in front of you. I guess it's before we get into altcoins and stuff, it's probably a good place to start with a little bit of analysis on what you're seeing in BTC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, sentiment is absolutely shocking on CT at the moment, but like, you know, in general market, but this is just a range. Like, people need to realize a range is to be treated like a range. You're, meant to be bullish at range lows. You're meant to be bearish at range highs. You treat any sort of, exploration outside the two as a deviation, and you look for mean reversion back in. That's how it has to be looked at. But that the capitulation event, the big wick, that was the biggest in history, but still just into the range low, right? And we had a tremendous buy up of it. Kind of puts us in a weird place now because we like at the range EQ and also the POC of like the value area. So it's kind of difficult to action any swing trades at this point. I think it's more like a low time frame traders market at the moment around here. But if we get back down here and take out some of these lows, it'd be nice for a long. Also, like, I'm potentially looking for a short up at these range highs. It's like an H12 FVG and a daily supply up there. But for the most part, yeah, we're just ranging. And like, that was a phenomenal buy opportunity if you caught it. I caught a few on perps and one big long on spot on hype. Other than that, though, I'm kind of just monitoring low time price action at the moment. Low time.
We actually did smash some of these entries on the Discord and on the show actually. So I was pretty happy with that trade. Like, picked up a lot of stuff on that massive liquidation week, as you can see here, like Sol, Hype, Link, Jupiter, ENA, Move, a bunch of AI stuff. Obviously updated the audience since then that I've cut a lot of those positions on the bounce. Some I kept because they still looked good. But I wanted to lock in profits the next morning. And then we had all the China tariff stuff scare the market again. So it just seems like a very news-driven market at the moment. Just going back to Bitcoin for a second. I mean, I'm not the expert trader here. You are, but I am seeing lower highs. So, like, where's your bias right now? Do you think this is just kind of maybe a bit of a dead cat bounce, so to speak, and we're going to sweep those lows as you discussed? Or do you think there's a chance for us to work our way out of this mid-range and test range high again?
Yeah, look, you generally don't want to trade around the POC. It's where the most volume of transactions happens in a range. So it's just, obviously the most chop happens there too. I had a setup posted in the Discord this morning last night before bed, and it kind of hasn't come to fruition. Basically, we had this low here. We bounced just ahead of it and sort of shot up. And like, low time frame kind of looks like a T-WAP's been opened up off there during Asia session.
But, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, right? Lower highs. What I'm kind of looking for is there's like I think it's 30 minutes. Yeah, it's like a little 30-minute, 15-minute supply cluster in here. I'm hoping when Europe opens, which is basically now, we get some sort of sell off of that, and that locks in a lower high. Because like, the trade to me right now is taking out these equal lows into this H4 supply, which is also the Fibonacci golden pocket. And if we don't get that, we just rally straight up. Then, like, this is the only two plans I have for BTC at the moment. I'm looking at this H12 FVG that's up at the value area high. We also have this like untapped high leading into it. I initially had short limits here and it got front run. I can't remember which news it was, but basically price nuked after that. So a bit unhappy there. But yeah, TLDR, like, low time frame traders market around these POIs in the center of the range if you want to. Otherwise, you're sitting on your hands. You're kind of waiting for resolution to the downside or the upside, range high, range low, to sort of present opportunities. Like, macro wise, I think potentially BTC is going to come down and take out some of these untapped lows. Got equal lows down here. We have a weekly FVG in here, which was barely tagged. Can mark that out quickly. Barely tagged by this wick here. I think we could explore a lot more in there. And there's also a bunch of lows and lower timeframes in there that are unswept. So
I think the general feeling from a Bitcoin macro perspective is just that the market's a little bit exhausted. Like we've had some really big narratives like Trump, the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and the price action isn't necessarily reflecting like optimism around a lot of the good news that's coming out either. So that's kind of a signal that there is exhaustion in the market. So that's why my bias right now, I'm not necessarily like a mega bear, but I am wary and a little bit more defensive because I'm just like monitoring really how the market's reacting to news. And that kind of tells you all you need to know about the current feeling in the market. Now, I don't know exactly when that's going to turn. I think none of us do. And that's why we're, looking at price action for some potential scenarios today. It could be talks about quantitative easing. It could be an interest rate decision in March. It could be Trump coming out and saying something. It could be a variety of things. But I think until there's a new tailwind, a new North Star for the market, we're kind of range bound in this chop because the current narratives that were propelling the market have seemingly been exhausted.
Yeah, I saw a good tweet the other day. I can't remember who it was from, but it was basically like how the market is reacting more and more to basically nothing burger news. So even news that isn't that impactful now, people are just dumping their bags quite quickly.
That Sachs thing the other day, that conference that everyone was excited about. It was bullish in some ways, maybe a bit of a nothing burger in the short term, and the market just like nuked straight afterwards.
Yeah, that's right. And like without a narrative to push us, like without a strong narrative, we're not going to get upside, in my opinion, yet. I think the structure has to play out and bottom more and take liquidity. Like if we're not getting a narrative to push us up or some sort of news, like it would have to be something like the strategic reserve, then the only other way to push us up is to gather a lot of liquidity to the downside, to look for some sort of reversion up to at least the range highs and maybe beyond. So that's why I'm kind of like...
what are those targets there? That's 85, 86, 87. I know it's a little bit blurry because we're on StreamYard.
Yeah, so we've got 88.7. That's equal lows below the range. I've got 86.1 and 85.1. And the thing is, right, they're all untapped lows. And they're also in this weekly imbalance, fair value gap, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I'm kind of like, even looking at RSI, it's got a monthly divergence, which is still like not resolved yet. But, this says to me that if there's not a narrative soon, we're going to just keep bleeding off slowly because more people are going to just submit and capitulate. They're going to be like, all right, alt season's not happening or Bitcoin's not going up or Trump's not going to do this or that. Like I think any Trump news also, I think the other day said it was going to take 70 to 150 days to eventuate. People will capitulate for them. This fractal I pulled up last stream we had together. Maybe it is coming to fruition. I don't know.
God, this is my nightmare. This is like, bro, these videos are going to get 2,000 views if we chop until June.
Yeah, if you thought this was bad on the market, like this, I think, we'll lose a lot of market participants.
Well, it resolves in a good way. Like 140 would be amazing, but the pain in the meantime would be substantial on alts. You'll see most alts. If this happens, and I think both of us think there'll be a resolution to either side before this. But if this did theoretically happen, most alts would probably go close to zero by the end of it. And then they'd have a massive, crazy alt season, which is kind of I think a max pain scenario for a lot of people. Like, I don't want it, but it would be max pain. I'm going to stay around either way. So I would benefit from this because I would actually be the one buying and trading this, and you would benefit from it as well. But it would really kill us in the short term.
A lot of people would leave. I also think we get a self like that. It might actually be a good thing because a lot of alts are going to die and they won't come back. And that sucks for a lot of people's bags.
And dilution's been the problem this cycle. Too many launches on pump fund, too many memes to choose from, too many on-chain. Yeah, it would flush out the crap. And that's why yesterday's video, I really focused on quality. Like I just spoke about like building a portfolio that can survive chop, but also thrive when we come out of it. And, we could come out of it in July, like this chart is suggesting, or we could come out of it in, a little bit sooner in March if there's, a quantitative easing or an interest rate cut or something. We don't know what's going to trigger it, but something will. It's more of a matter of how long do we chop for, because that will kind of dictate how long the pain will last here on Bitcoin and alts.
Yeah. I don't see it resolving to the upside, like I said, without a narrative. So I think at least sweep some liquidity and then see what the reaction is. Honestly, if we start sweeping those lows into the weekly FEG and we have a pretty lackluster reaction, then I think price will go lower than people think. If we start reverting back into the range from there and start marking up, we can at least target like range highs and maybe some of these highs up here. and maybe the range continues, but like a lot of good trading opportunities there. Good swing trading opportunities too. But there's 10,000 coins I was reading the other day. I think I mentioned it last year. It's being launched on Pump Fun. Probably even more with AI agents launching their own. It's just not enough capital in the market to sustain it. And people always talk about retail coming in. Where are they? They're not going to pile in on ETF announcements because they probably don't even know what an ETF is. So Trump I
spoke about this a couple of days ago. Pump Fun did a lot of damage because a lot of people got wrecked on chain. And as soon as you get wrecked, your natural inclination in the space, I think it's wrong. We might speak about this later in the video because these are the best opportunities to learn and actually focus. But most people, after something like that, just leave. And unfortunately, there's already been a lot of damage done to the space in 2022 through FTX and Lunar and BlockFi and Voyager and Celsius. So that already limited the potential pool of retail. And then the pool that decided to lick their wounds and come back, a lot of them got wrecked again, and they were in on-chain alts, which didn't have as much liquidity compared to last cycle because it was mostly centralized exchange driven. So that leads to more retail getting wrecked. So, the obvious solution to this in terms of retail coming back is price pumping because people love to ape highs. So, retail will come back once price pumps, but I think the liquidation event did a bit of damage, and it just takes time to get rid of that damage. It takes time for people to build belief in the market, and belief in the market isn't always driven by price. Bitcoin could go to 110K, Solana could go to $300 tomorrow. I don't think that would build retail belief. What builds belief is time going up. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Like, we were going up for 6 months from the end of 2023 until the start of 2024. Retail didn't come back, and this is obvious by the YouTube views, until March 2024, even though we'd been an uptrend from August, September, October, November, December. So it wasn't the price going up that got them back. It was the belief that was built through time. And that's why this recovery might be a little bit slower than some of us may hope.
Well, with retail, I hate saying retail, like real retail, non-crypto native retail. They're not monitoring charts every day to get back in the market after 6 months. They're literally relying on news headlines and word of mouth, right? So I think they all piled in. Moonshot was a fairly good indication of this. On the Trump meme, everyone was saying this, Trump releasing a meme is the most bullish thing for the industry. And I was saying this has got to be the biggest top signal because in terms of celebrities, releasing meme coins, that's got to be the El Grande, right? And sure enough, then he released his wife's coin, and that was the biggest grift I've ever seen.
That was insane.
Everyone
that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, absolutely. And every new retail participant who made money off that, they probably did really well, but didn't sell. They got wrecked. And it's just a once bitten, twice shy. They're going to think twice about coming back now. If we keep getting these grifty launches like this, we're just going to lose more and more people, who are just not going to come back. It's just a difficult one to navigate. And you've got to think, the dispersion. Yeah, maybe there's only X amount of money, low amounts of money in each coin out there, but that's money that could be going to utility tech alts or stuff with established teams and stuff that's been around for a while. So that part of the dispersion,
and some of it is, I'm just looking in the corner now. We're seeing a lot of the RWA stuff doing quite well. We'll speak about that slightly later in the video. But first, I'd love to see Total 3 because we touched on that in the last video, and it was looking quite bullish. But since then, we've had a sweep of some pretty key levels. So I wonder what your feeling is here to do with altcoins and Total 3.
I honestly hardly ever look at Total 3, but I keep wondering how much of a meme it is charting this. But anyway, we've got weekly breakers.
But it seems to work.
It does, weirdly.
It's a weird one. It seems to respect stuff. I don't know.
I should probably just shut up and go with the flow. But honestly, we had a big buyout, but this is not going to, it's not we tapped a weekly breaker on the Total 3 charts, which is going to go up from here. What's more likely is this. And this is probably max pain. More than just going straight up or straight down is the chop, because this is just all psychology in here. This is just everyone second guessing if they caught the lows. Should they sell up here? And now they're underwater. Do I capitulate? Oh, price going back up. Do I buy again? So to me, that's max pain. That's why I think education is paramount at this point. Learn about ranges, how to trade them, liquidity theory and all that. And maybe you'll have a much better time than aping highs and capitulating at lows, which I keep seeing.
And you posted all this stuff
lately
in your educational channel in the Mars High Club. You're posting all of this. You're filming videos every day. Look at all of this stuff. how to do top-down analysis, high time frame entries, support, resistance levels, RSIs and trends, spaghetti charts, how to scan watch lists. All of these are going to be coming soon that you've been updating, and then we're launching our courses app as well. So, I mean, it's all there. People, I think this period, it's kind of weird to me psychology-wise, because everyone wants to leave the market when prices are down. But when prices are down, that's the best time for you to be learning, educating yourself, and developing like a sustainable strategy. Like there's this reaction. People always want to come in at the highs, or they always want to sell at the lows. But for me personally, like I round tripped 7 figures in 2021, like a significant amount of capital. But because I round tripped that amount of capital, it made me really motivated to learn more. So as a result of that pain, I took a lot of lessons out of that, and I learned more strategies. I learned more about fundamental analysis. I actually learned to trade, not as well as you, but I learned support, resistance levels, invalidations, de-risking, and taking profits. And this kind of stuff set me up when the time is right in 2024 to make a lot more money than I could have in 2021. But I couldn't learn that without going through the pain of 2021 first. So I don't think it's going to be a 4-year bear market, but it's the same logic applied on a smaller scale, that if you've lost money or you've underperformed, it's actually a great chance to reflect on why and use this time to educate yourself and learn the systems to make sure it doesn't happen again, instead of doing what most people do, and that's just leave the market. YouTube views are already tanking, interest is tanking, engagement on Twitter is tanking, which honestly, as a creator, is frustrating to me, because these are such blessings of moments in the market to actually hone in on your strategy and learn to trade and all that sort of stuff you don't have time to do in a crazy bull trend.
Yeah, for sure. I think also you don't need to know very much in this market. The people who are, aping the highs, capitulating the lows, they're just trading based off emotions because they don't have any technical background. Maybe fundamentally they have a long game, but if that's not panning out, people forget the forest through the trees, or whatever the analogy is, very quickly, and they just think 2-3 weeks, maybe a month of down, it's just not for me, and they get rid of it. But like, honestly, you don't need to know much with the technical side. I think very basic concepts, tried and true over the years. You don't need to learn advanced order flow and footprint and pair trading and all this stuff. You can basically, and I've been creating that 5-minute trading tips course specifically for this reason, because a lot of people in the Discord are there for you as more fundamental driven investors, but more and more people have been taking an interest in trading lately. So I've just been recording more and more about
the traders market.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So I've simplified my system heaps, and that's mainly for the benefit of the group too, as well as myself. But now I'm just teaching people to mark out, if we just do a quick example, just telling people to go to the monthly and the weekly charts and just mark out their key high time frame levels. Just like this, I actually set everyone homework yesterday, like I'm some sort of boomer, but I think it's probably important. And once you have those levels, you're just looking for POIs around them. So basically we have a nice H4 demand down here at this weekly level I just marked out. And you're setting alerts at both. You're not doing business in here. You're only doing business we get above here. A reclamation of this level, you can target the highs, or a retracing of this level, and you can get some sort of limit order play and take out the weekly level here. So drastically simplified, including the noodle as well. So it's just basically, these two things. I haven't used the noodle much lately because you can see we just chop through it. In ranges, it's quite useless. So more range trading strategies. And then when we get back to a trending market, I'll be doing more sort of education stuff on the noodle again. But just kind of going with the flow at the moment.
I think just key support and resistances are just so key. And even if you're a fundamental investor, I think there's this misconception, either you're a trader or you're an investor. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can do fundamentals and find great altcoins, and then the way you enter them, invalidate them, and execute a fundamentally driven spot trade on them can be dictated, or at least managed, through looking at these high time frame levels and moving averages. That at least means, okay, maybe you do get into a fundamentally driven play, but if it starts breaking down, on the Ondo level you showed, for example, there was a key monthly level. If that starts breaking down, that could be a level to look at de-risking. And then you just got to learn, and you have videos on this in Discord, and you teach this on your mentorships. You just have to learn how to actually go about de-risking. What are the signs? what are the levels, and then you can implement these things into your fundamental trading. So it's not one or the other, like you're a trader or you're an investor. In the market, you have to be, I think, a little bit of both if you're trying to be a successful investor. Otherwise, you can learn to be a full-time trader, but I'm not advocating that everyone should become a full-time trader because not everyone has time. So there's a strategy for everyone as long as you're just clear on what that strategy is. But I think that's where most people go wrong. They don't have a strategy. And even I'm getting some comments like, about coins that I mentioned that may have gone up like hugely and now they've come back down. It's like a lot of the examples I'm getting, it's like some of these coins broke multiple key high time frame levels and had days or even weeks in some cases where you could have de-risked or at least had an alert set to give yourself the option of de-risking. But I think most people kind of have their head in the sands. They buy, they hold, they watch something bleed to zero or down, and then they complain. It's like the momentum is in front of you. You can see it on the charts. And there are some cases where things just, wick to the downside, but there are a lot of cases where we had clear invalidations on many of these coins. And it's not really, part of my job is to educate, but I can't handhold. I speak a lot about invalidations of profit taking on the show, but I can't force that. And I can't do a video every time a trade is breaking down on a key high time frame level. That's something that we teach so you can do it yourself. And I don't have to tell you every single time because that's not sustainable. I want you guys to learn how to trade and invest longer term, way beyond watching my videos. And the only way for you to do that is to learn this stuff. And a lot of the stuff's free. And then if you want more of an in-depth hand-holding experience, then you can join Mars High Club if you've got a bit of money to spend and you want something a bit deeper.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is just past cycles. This is, if you're in 2017, you're in 2020, and then this one's wildly different. It's not just like throw a dart and eventually a coin goes up. Rising tide lifts all boats. This one's been much more rotational and selective, and the dispersion issue. So, I think a lot of people come into the market like, well, it's worked the last 2 cycles. I'll just buy stuff and we'll come back in 6 months and I'll be 4, 5, 10x my portfolio. Not quite the way at the moment. You've got to be more selective. And
so
the thing with like de-risking too. Hey?
Sorry, actually finish the de-risking point, then I'll ask you about your strategy.
All right. Yeah, the thing with de-risking is if you lose a key level, I was actually teaching this on Fartcoin the other day. I lost a key level and I was like, you can cut it there. And if it reclaims it, you can buy back exactly where you sold. You can basically be neutral, But I think a lot of people just have the psychology in their head that if I sell, then I can never get back in again. It's not the case. Nothing wrong with selling and aping back in if strength is shown. People mostly are never upset taking profit, even if price goes up without them. Much better than round tripping everything. I think that's much more painful because you were right and then you let it go because of poor management. So yeah,
that's the thing with some of these trades as well. Just because it went down doesn't mean you were wrong. Like we've had some crazy trades, even in the Discord, that have gone up massively. I'm looking at some on my chart right now. Like EMP is an example of this, and there's many. But like we called this at I called it like $50, maybe $70 on the YouTube. Went up to $500. So theoretically, right, this coin could go to, I'm not saying it will, I don't know. But if this coin goes to 0 right now, was that a bad call or was that a bad trade? I think it was still great because there was a window of 10x, or even if you were late, 4x, 5x, which is still pretty much instant, get your initials out territory. So you're in a risk-free trade. So I think a lot of it just comes down to risk management at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. I think also it's like the ugly sister of the crypto industry, or just, finance in general. No one really wants to learn about risk management, even though it's the most important. Like you want to be a professional risk manager and a trader second, or an investor second. Professional risk manager first and foremost. But
well, your first goal is not to blow up before you try and make money.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the people that are coming into the market and then leaving when things look poor, like they are now. They're the ones who are just here to make money. They don't really have any interest in crypto. And that's totally fair, but they're the ones you see that peel off quite quickly when things don't look bullish anymore.
I'll give you an example of a coin where I invalidated, because I spoke about this recently on the YouTube channel. Like AI16Z is a coin where I bought here on the low and then it pushed up, and I didn't even take profits. I probably should have at the time, but whatever, I didn't. And then when it started to break down again, I cut on this retest, and then I cut the rest here, right, on the break of this low, and then it went down another 50%. This
Hmm.
is a coin, like you said, like fart coin, where AI16Z could come back because it's one of the leading AI coins, but I'll just wait. It's fine. I cut my position here. I took a small loss, but I'm happy to wait for a reversal and maybe start to look to get in. And on a high time frame reclaim, I can get in with bigger size, set my invalidation below, but depending on what the market's doing and what the price action's doing. So like this is an example of a coin where I'm not out of this forever. I may get back into this at some point. I just don't really want to be a knife catcher.
Yeah,
That's
that's
as
the
simple as
thing.
that.
Like structurally, with a lot of these things, that's why I think we've got some more downside maybe intact. That's just not going to V reverse out. That has to bottom, has to put in bottoming structure, and then it has to start reclaiming trends and needs to start printing bullish market structure, and that starts marking up. Like, do I think the bottom is in for Fartcoin or AO16Z? Maybe in terms of levels, but in terms of time, no. I think it's going to form ranges and take its sweet time down there, unless there's like a narrative on news. But agents seem to be hit the hardest off the sell-off, probably because they
They
were just
pump the most.
overhyped. There were so many of them on the way up. AR16Z and XBT and all of them, you couldn't even get an entry in them. They were just pumping so much.
There are some
And
outliers though. Like I'll show you a couple. Like Anon, for
the
example.
anon thing was good. Yeah,
This
I
looks
saw that.
really strong. This didn't even drop during the dip. It looks strong. Like there are some AI coins which actually look decent today. This is one of them. Tau actually looks solid. I mean, I know it broke down, but like the response was strong. So there are a few that look good. FAI as well. It's this kind of price action scares me. This kind of bleed up. This often resolves in a breakdown, like we saw here. This grind up and then breakdown. It's a sign of exhaustion, but it did hold up at least. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens there. So there are a few. There are a few
just
in the market that
just
aren't looking horrible.
yeah, and like just looking at your examples there. So I'll switch back to my screen. Just look at your examples there. Like the noodle, quite simply, if you don't know how to trade, you can de-risk when price goes below it, and you can buy when price gets above it. And it's been a fairly good barometer just for simple trend trading. You can see at the moment a lot of those things are just failing to get back above. They're, it's your risk off signal effectively.
Yeah. Let's talk about risk on signals though, not just risk off, because there is one sector amongst everything that is a standout, and honestly, it's what's keeping my portfolio intact right now. And that's RWA. So luckily, our RWA bags are holding everything intact. C pulls up 13% today. Checks has been on a ridiculous run, still showing a lot of strength. So I'd love to get your opinion on a lot of these coins. Ondo was one of the coins that I bought during the dip the other day, and I spoke about that on the channel. So these are helping a lot, and fundamentally, it seems like the market is aligned with a utility narrative now, heading into February, March, potentially.
Yeah, Ondo is one of. I've only got 3 in my current watch list that I think look very strong, and that's Ondo, Hype, and Trump. I've got 2 Ondo charts here. So this is the one I've been posting the last few weeks. Just a range, wicked into the weekly breaker here at the range EQ, got back above the value area. Rejecting the range high, we just want to see it get back above, but like very strong market just on this candle alone. Don't know how it's going to close. I believe like it has that narrative coming up with is it an unlock or the summit or something?
There's a summit this weekend, which I don't know if it's gonna. I've heard big accounts saying they're gonna short buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah,
I don't know though.
I'm saying that too. I'm seeing
that.
some traders I respect a lot buying big on spot. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm looking for a trade on it. I don't know about spot. I didn't catch this. Unfortunately, that dip, I only caught Hype and Fartcoin and just got heaps of futures trades that closing too early. But this is definitely one I'm looking for on Ondo, this H4. I think like we've got these relatively equal lows here. A nice sweep into that would be very good. I think it's also no, I'm thinking of a different chart. But yeah, basically for that, it's like an H4 demand at range lows. This range has been pretty good so far. So I think RWA-wise, Ondo's one of the stronger ones. Checks has been really good, not a market I'm in. Do I not have this here?
I think a lot of the audience will want to see this because I'm getting asked a lot of questions about it.
I've already marked it up. Yeah, so checks once again. It's just in a weekly range, right? This is the range high. This is the range low. We go in. Like really nice dip into the low and then pivot into the high. I think also like from a value area perspective, it's kind of finding a struggle at the top here. It's probably like a decent place to take profits as we keep wicking into this and closing below it. Because often with value areas, you see like rotations down. Maybe it comes up, tags this again, comes back inside the range, comes to lows. But it's definitely been the strongest bouncer from RWAs. Maybe because it was market cap, but I believe they have like some big announcements this week, right?
Yeah,
I think
the taking profits thing for me is killing me because I fundamentally think this is going higher and should, once it's on big exchanges, I'm targeting like billions. But then again, in the past, when I've broken my system on DCAing as price goes up, I've done badly from it. Lucky Coin was an example of this. I'm fine speaking about Lucky because I've been totally honest the whole time about it. I was up over $1.5 million, probably more at some point, depending on when you checked. And I didn't take any profits. Part of that was because I had recently made a video, so I didn't really want to dump something that was a bit more liquid on the audience. So I kind of held, and the primary reason as well was I just thought it was going much higher. But what I should have done on that coin, even though I thought it was going to maybe $30, $40, for example, I still should have, sold 20%, got my initials out, sold another 20 and just slowly let it out. So something on checks, that's something I'm probably going to implement, even though it feels wrong. But it's kind of, just the same as buying during dips feels wrong. It's the same thing with profit taking. That being said, I still think as this goes higher, sorry, I'll rephrase that. I still think this goes higher longer term. Zooming out, looking at the RWA space, Ondo's at a multi-billion-dollar valuation. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's like 15 bill. Mantra is like 10 bill. Like this is what, 600 mil. So they still have room to run from a fundamental perspective.
Yeah, I thought it was lower cap because of these wicks, but like even if you're fundamentally
it's
bullish,
not that liquid. What exchange are you on? That could be why.
Yeah, MEXC, that's why.
Yeah, MEXC liquidity is trash. So and this is
Yeah.
actually good info for you guys. I've answered this question. They just got a few times, but go into CoinGecko, look at markets and where liquidity is. For checks specifically, the most liquidity is in the Uniswap V2 pool and the Radium pools. They haven't added a lot of liquidity to centralized exchanges. They could, but I think they're waiting on a much bigger exchange before they do that. And hopefully that comes soon. I think that's the next big catalyst for them. Like a Bybit, an OKX, ultimately a Binance. Like these exchanges will be really, really good because a lot of people can't access the coin right now, which has been, I think, even limiting it below $1, where I think fundamentally it could be right now. But yeah.
Well, yeah, 0.64. Yeah, I think I have MEXC chart. It's got the most price history, so it works the best for me. But like even if you're fundamentally bullish in the long term, from a trader's perspective, there's nothing wrong with taking profits at the highs and we get a rotation back to lows, buy it up back there. And like if you're not that savvy at trading, you can quite simply treat it like I'll take profit up here. That profit that I took, I can reinvest that back down to lows to accrue more checks. It's like, simple.
It might not chop in the range though. I've got a feeling, maybe I'm wrong, but I have a feeling there's enough. And this depends on the market. If Bitcoin breaks down now, then RWA won't be able to run. If Bitcoin just goes sideways or holds, I think the momentum for all these coins is still to the upside, given the whole Larry Fink Trump. Like, I feel like people have been a little bit disillusioned by memes, and a lot of people intrinsically want to believe in something. And that's why we're seeing this rotation back into utility, because people want to invest in something that makes sense. And real assets is kind of one of these sectors where it just makes sense with the current regulatory regime opening up for these coins. So
I think also like Grayscale and World Liberty and whatnot accruing them, there's less likelihood of them going minus 80% like your favorite on-chain meme coins. And obviously people won't make as many multiples as they want, but at least they won't lose their entire bags, which I think a lot of people are realizing now after this latest dump in the market. That's a high.
I know you've got to go soon, so maybe we go. Let's just go through C-Pool as the last one, because that's another one that that I'm holding. It looks a little bit weaker than some of the others, but it did bounce nicely. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I'm biased in this one because I've been holding this for a couple of years. But
that's a long time. Yes.
Yeah, Chris Romano put out a tweet put out a message in a private group a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just buy it." And I just held it, and it continues to do well. So I've been peeling off profit, but good coin. But yeah, anyway, technicals wise, like we've got a very nice weekly demand at the range EQ.
That was such a good buy. I posted that in the Discord the other day. Such a good opportunity, that wick.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think because I own a decent bag of this, I haven't been trading it, which I probably should have because it trades quite nicely. But this one's pretty simple, right? It's just been in
There's no perps.
This downtrend. Is there not perps anywhere for this?
Yeah. No.
Interesting.
Not, or maybe there is, not on Bybit, but maybe there is on a smaller exchange. There probably is on a Mexi or something.
I think this is pretty good. We had this liquidity sweep, doing this like over-under setup on the lower time frames. This is the daily. It's definitely an over-under setup. I think this diagonal at the moment is kind of tied in with the range high. It's like the final boss. Maybe more accumulation, but I like CPOL. I like the market cap. I think we get back above this range high, and we can start targeting other highs. And the thing I didn't mention before with BTC, like maybe we just stay range bound for, to July, and we don't take out the lows or the highs. But I can guarantee you, some people will capitulate in the market and submit.
That'll kill people still.
Yeah, but I still think a lot of alts will rally in that time because people who are sticking around will just get fed up.
If you're in the right coins, and that goes down to the recent show, like that portfolio show I did. The number one point I wanted to make was now is the time to make sure you're in the right coins. And it could be RWA, it could be utility. I'm not chilling a coin to you and saying this has to be the coin, but make sure you at least fundamentally align with the underlying narrative. Because if the coins with the strongest narratives at the moment, they're going to be the ones that if Bitcoin does chop and certain sectors run, they're going to run first. So and price action tells you a lot about what is fundamentally looking good as well. We've touched on a few today, even from AI, like some look better than others.
Yeah. I might just quickly go over the other two things that I am watching. I think Trump might be in for a bottom. This thing is like, being a really good short from up here. I know it's brutal, but
Trump
like clean 4-hour divergences on AO and RSI. I've seen a few people repost this too, so I know a lot of good traders are watching this. We have I want to see this $20 level reclaim. So basically like psychological $20 level. Have this nice gap fill in the volume profile over here up into the next sort of key resistance level. Like flip that, we can go higher. But until then, I think it makes for a nice trade in between these two levels. So I've got alerts on this and probably take a trade up to here if we get it, fill this gap. Those 4-hour divergences are, they're pretty clean. Admittedly, this RSI one's almost up at the reset zone, but if we can get a back above here, I think it makes for a nice trade. Hype is the best looking chart in the market right now, in my opinion. Like not much right now has this beautiful like rounding bottom. I think there's a lot of liquidity under all these lows, which could eventually get swept. I think for like a midterm trade, this one's simple. This is why I bid pretty big on spot when we got that puke, because it was the one I thought had the best chance of recovering, just because of how the structure
Can I tell you my theory with hype?
Please.
My theory is that it's going to keep going up as the market chops, because if you guys remember Celestia early in 2024 or Rollbit, Unibot, these coins in 2023, there are always certain coins in choppy markets which like outperform. And what happens is as the market chops, these coins outperform and everyone goes into them because they're like almost like stable coins, but you make money on them, right? They're safer than being in something else. And hype's like that right now. And as long as the market chops, it'll stay like this. Then I think what happens is you get that sell-off and maybe that, sweep that you're discussing. That happens once alts pick back up again, because a lot of the people that were in hype as a safe haven will start taking profits and the narrative will become less enticing relative to the market, and then other stuff will start running and hype will then slow down whilst everything else is running. So I think exactly what you said, as a short to midterm play, hype's great. One of my biggest holds right now. But I will look at some point, probably at that range high that you've got there, to start taking some profits and then getting into some other stuff, because that I think there'll be a bit of a rotation. Go back and study Celestia, even L2s in 2023, Rollbit, Unibot, these coins that rallied during historical times of like chop and capitulation.
Remember that Rollbit pump? That was nuts. And now look at it.
Insane. because nothing else in the market was pumping. So everyone, that's the only thing people were trading. It's actually pretty similar to hype right now. I go onto Twitter, all people are talking about is hyperliquid. Literally, it's like the number one coin anyone's talking about right now.
So that was partially my reason for bidding it so heavy.
Even Aiden Ross, sorry for cutting you off again. I know some comments will be like, Mars, you always cut off Paradise, but I think this is important. Even Aiden Ross, FaZe Banks, had a stream where they were with these crypto guys, LA Vape Cabal, and they had hype in their portfolio. So like it's now just like this mainstream Solana-esque asset.
Interesting. Which I find interesting. Yeah, right. I mean, that airdrop did a lot of favors for them, right? Probably the best airdrop in history, I'd have to say.
Yeah, so good. And Jupiter, so good.
But yeah, for anyone who owns hype, like I bought it on this capitulation wick down here just because of how the
should have bought it $8 when I did the first video. Anyway.
That's right, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, $8, guys. That was the first entry.
I definitely didn't catch that. I was waiting for it to go back down, but it just kept going up. But this is my redemption play, catching this. I think it was like $21 I got in. Took a bit of profit at the range EQ, which I have not marked out here. Do that quickly. Ranges are subjective. Everyone draws them their own way, but I'm just basing this one on support resistance. Took a bit of profit in the range EQ. I'm targeting this high here. I'm targeting this high here, and then the range high. So at the moment, I'm scaled out maybe 30%. I've got the remaining 70. Then I'm going to take profit at these three levels. I had someone actually ask me in the Discord yesterday, like, if you have conviction and hype, why would you take profit up here and not wait till all-time high? It just doesn't seem like that kind of market to me at the moment. It's rotational. BTC is largely, sensitive. Well, the market's just sensitive to any news headlines. So I could get all the way up here and wait to take profit at this high or even up here, and we get something that just reverts price all the way down. So like you said before, traders market, I'm being way more aggressive on profit taking than usual, just locking in small wins or larger wins and compounding them. But I don't think there's any problem with taking profit up here. And eventually I think we could get some sort of, there's a really nice equal lows down here. This is the spot chart, but I think perps looks the same. Some sort of rate of like $18 could look good, and maybe even lower, it depends.
Ansem actually posted $18 as his H1 low target for hype. So he thinks at some point it'll go. I don't think the guy is necessarily the number one person to listen to, but that, I don't know, that I just heard his theory, so it does align with what you're saying. But I think he thinks it'll also go up first and then at some point.
Yeah, it's just like on BTC, like, this is a range. Look to take profit at the range high. If we get some sort of return inside and a bearish retest range high, you can target the EQ and then the range low. And quite simply look for, like, this is a big liquidity target. We have equal lows here, relative triple equal lows. We include this stuff. You can look for deviation underneath. You can buy that, or you can just buy the reclaim of the range. And once again, target the EQ and then the range high. Like, this is a range until proven otherwise. I know a lot of people think because hype's performing so well, it's just going to go up only from here. But, macro-wise, broader market, we're not in that sort of scheme at the moment. Regime. Like, I think it has to come. We should treat it just as a range until proven otherwise. So, yeah.
Okay.
Happy to take profits on the way up and then reassess. I'll keep trading this. I think hype's quite nice to trade. It's very nice on like lower time frame, respects POIs, respects price action concepts quite well.
Well, that's because it's actually the most, if a lot of the volume's on chain, but if you extrapolate the volume and you put it on Binance's top gainers list, it's the top 10 most traded token on Binance. So obviously a lot of people are charting this and trading this.
Yeah. I mean, my group of friends I talk to every day about trading, they're pretty much all like net long in this thing. So a lot of them got the airdrop. I didn't. So didn't really trade on the platform much. Unfortunate, but here's what it is.
It'll do well until it doesn't. Like, as I said, I think it'll go up. It's still one of my highest conviction spot holds for now, but I'm not going to bag hold this forever because I've kind of seen this movie before. And
exactly.
I made mistakes on the Unibot trade last year, and I've kind of seen how these markets work in these sideways times where, they do really well, but the second other alts start running, it doesn't necessarily keep running.
So funny you mentioned that. I got the Unibot thing too. Got a decent early entry and just held it round trip the whole thing. Just was not expecting.
Exact same, pretty much. Yeah, it wasn't my finest trade, but it was a good lesson on how the market reacts. And look at Celestia. Celestia is a great example of that too. From
Do you want me to
last
pull
year.
up the TIA chart? So we're talking about it a fair bit.
Yeah, it would be. I think a good lesson.
I think it was like
so Celestia was running during the chop.
I think it was listed on
This
Binance.
is probably going to be so bad.
I remember it's basically just.
And I staked some of this freaking thing for an airdrop.
Same here, and I never got the airdrop. Same with Cosmos and INJ, all of them. This is probably not the oldest price history, although I do think it listed straight away on Binance.
Yeah, it did. Pretty soon after.
It's a funny one. Like, this is literally the bottom. If you're bullish in this project, this is where you buy, but I wouldn't have any conviction buying it. Maybe it did something like this. Got back inside this. That'd be a nice entry. But yeah, max pain. Once again, one of those ones you could not get an entry on if you tried, unless you're on low time frame and locked in. But that's a hell of a sell. I think a lot of alts that are sort of around maybe here at the moment in the market. I think this is what they're going to experience. It's what I was talking about before, where things have to bottom and then start reclaiming trends, and then up they go. I think this will actually paint a picture for the amount of dispersion we have. We have too many altcoins out there. We're going to get this on a lot of them. A lot of them just won't recover. Probably the more speculative, crappy ones. But yeah, it's good to be selective at the moment. Choose the right coins, as you were saying.
I'm talking on mute. No, I just said I think that's a good time to I think that's a good time to wrap it up, because I know you've got to go, and we're approaching an hour. People keep telling me my videos are too long, so
45 apparently.
But I think long form's good, for people, and we timestamp. So if you want to just watch the Bitcoin section, just watch the Bitcoin section. You want to have a breadth of topics.
Look, I have ADHD, so I can talk to the cows come home, which is probably not great for shorter form content, but want to get me on a 3-hour podcast, we can wax lyrical, as they say.
in a bull run. I mean, we probably should have been doing these a lot more in November, but I know all of us were busy, and especially holding the Discord down, which was going crazy. But people will sit there and watch a 5-hour live stream in a crazy market, because one little alpha tidbit in a 5-hour live stream could be thousands of dollars just because of how quickly the market moves. But right now it's a bit different. Well,
if this was the bottom, videos like this are good, because maybe we've just said this is the literal bottom for TIA, and if you're bullish on the project, this is where you'd want to buy it. I'm not advocating anyone to do this, by the way. I don't like any of this. Maybe reclaim that level, like I said, but yeah. So good to keep upskilling regardless of conditions is a TLDR from me.
Always keep upskilling. If you guys want Paradise back on the channel soon, let me know in the comments below. We'll have to get him back on potentially early next week or mid next week for an update, depending on what happens. And then we've also floated the idea of doing something regular. If you guys want to see that, let me know if that's something you'd be keen for. We could make it weekly, and do something on more of a cadence, if you guys think that would be valuable. So let me know what you think, and if you enjoy this format. I can even leave Paradise doing more of his own. I know I interrupt something people to say a lot in the comments. Miles, keep interrupting. I'm happy to just let him do a session and kind of drive things if you guys want. Just let me know.
7-hour video. Yep.
7-hour video.
No, but look, I mark up charts for these videos of you, but I'm more than happy to go over heaps of educational stuff, because that's my forte for sure. It's what the passion lies. Teaching concepts and trading systems and that. So I'm happy to do some more of that stuff on these videos too, if there's any interest.
Well, even if there's not interest, I think it's needed.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's good fun. There's always something to learn, always something to teach.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining. We'll see you guys later. Catch you in the next one.